Hello, this is my very first YouTube video and I hope to make others in association with this one. But the reason I'm making this one is I've been involved in something that I think should be spoken about. It was something that I didn't know was a problem, but it turns out it is a big problem, and it is a big problem for me, and it's really unnerved me. So what I'll do is I will read out the open letter that I wrote that I've been circulating to media outlets, and I've been publishing on Facebook and just trying to get out there so people will hear. So, I'm currently undertaking legal proceedings against Sun State Roller Derby based in Brisbane, a women's roller derby sports league, part of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. Just before Christmas, I decided to return to roller derby after 2 years away. I'd taken part in many training sessions and the league's Christmas party. The league's return to gaming after COVID was going to be a big one, and I wanted to be part of it. So I bought expensive new gear and I joined the coaching team. I wanted it to be the best year, my best year. It could be one of my last, it could be. I'm 43 now. But I wanted to help take them to glory yet again, as Sun State has always been known for. But back in January, I made a comment on Lad Bible regards a transgender person suing the NFL for the right to play in the Women's League. I said biological males should not be allowed to play in women's sports. I was berated and threatened by a fellow former roller derby player, who then sent my comment, or one of my comments out of that whole conversation we had back and forth, completely out of context, to my current roller derby team, who, as a grievance against discrimination against transgender people. And within 4 days, I got an email from Sun State explaining that I was excluded from the team because I didn't represent their views. So it took them 4 days from one little comment, no investigation. They didn't even ask me if my account had been hacked, if I actually wrote it. They didn't ask me anything. They took this one clip comment, few lines I wrote, out of all the others we had back and forth, me and this girl. They took that one comment and they threw me out of the roller derby team as a result of it. They did give me 10 days in which to reply. It took me half an hour. And I told them, I stand by my comments and I no longer want to be part of a league that treats its members this way. I said a lot more, but that was basically the gist of it. A few days later, Sun State Roller Derby then posted a comment on their official page that a member of their league had been excluded due to some comments around discrimination of the transgender community. To which it was met with much merriment and a lot of praise. You know, well done, Sun State, we stand by you, great, all these sort of things. I decided I need to clarify what had happened. And I said, a fellow female who knows the unfairness and safety around biological men in women's sports should be silenced and punished. Where did all the feminists go? Well, as you can imagine, the abuse I got was... it was not expected. It was not expected. It was to a degree, but what I got was not expected. I was called transphobic, which I am not. I was called a horrible TERF, which I'd never even heard of, and I had to go looking. But I can tell you right now, I don't identify as a feminist. I don't really believe in a lot of the things they say. I'm not trans-exclusionary. I'm not. Trans people can do whatever they want so long as it doesn't affect me. And I'm certainly not a radical. That my statement I made wasn't radical. It was just a snippet of science, I thought. Anyway, I was also told biological man is the most offensive thing you can say to a trans-identified man. I can't bring myself to say trans woman because I don't believe they're women. Also, my words cause suicides and self-harm, and my views promote murder, amongst other things. Well, like I said, this is a public group of over 9,000 followers, so 9,000 people had the potential of seeing this. Whether they did or they didn't, but they could have, and many of them liked, loved, responded to other people's comments, so they basically used each other as stepping stones to create this mob of attack on me and people who think like me. Well, people who think it doesn't matter. It's me and it's the way I feel. That's it. So they attacked me. So the whole mob came after me. Luckily, one friend back from England, somebody I went to school with, she dived in and she tried to offer me help by, trying to calm them down and telling them we all have our opinions, leave it alone. They attacked her as well. They called her things. And my loving, supporting husband, who for all intents and purposes was a roller derby widow for 6 years, that I prayed previously to this. And for those who have ever played derby, you'll know the amount of training and expense and time away that derby has involved with it. And he was called a misogynist, sexist, for citing science and for supporting me. He was called all sorts of names. Sunstate then blocked him from commenting any further. Everybody else was allowed to comment on his comments and other things, but he was blocked. He couldn't say anything else. Now, whether that was because they thought he was a man and he didn't have any right to speak on this, I don't know. But if it is that, that's ironic, because we're talking about men in sports, women's sports, yet a man isn't allowed to speak. So I'm not really sure. It's crazy. Anyway. So anyway, the abuse towards me, there was a few more after he got blocked, and anyway. So it was about 7 days later that I went back on to see the posts, to see if anything else was said that I could capture, but it turned out that they'd culled most of the comments, mostly the comments that called me names and were absolutely horrible. All my husband's comments had now gone. Everybody who attacked him, all the horrible words had gone. They just left my comment and the ones attached from that were just supporting Sunstate. So anybody who attacked me, they were all deleted. So Sunstate were aware what was going on and they culled it to make them look better. Anyway, it was horrible to be on the receiving end of all that by people who I thought were my friends, a lot of them, and people I didn't even know and didn't even know me, and they were from all over the country, attacking me and calling me names like they knew anything about me from that one comment I made, because they're making all sorts of assumptions about what I said previously, I'm sure, but what I said was just fact. Anyway, I was left feeling anxious and sick, fearful for if I ever run into any of these people, because I regularly do go back to Sydney to see my friends that I met from roller derby there, and a lot of these people who commented were from Sydney. I did have to read them all because I screenshotted all the comments from the first day. The first day, that was the only one. That's the only I could stomach. After that, I was just done. And a friend, a friend got in touch with me and told me to block them all, to block all these people on Facebook, because they could use things against me. They could go after me even further, and just whatever they could use, they would go after me. And this is based on one of the girls from this comment, who I was friends with, went onto my Facebook and started screenshotting all the updates I was making about what was going on, and then putting these screenshots and updates in the thread and making horrible comments about me, encouraging everybody else to attack me further. So I did. I blocked all those people on there, and this was people I didn't know as well. I just blocked them so that they could never message me. I don't know if they can message me, but blocked them so that they could never see my posts again. And then I decided to delete everybody I've ever met from roller derby. Nearly 200 people I've met through playing, just through websites, through just events I've been to. Lots of people. I had to delete them all because I just didn't know how toxic they were going to be towards me, so I just didn't want anything to do with them. I want rid of that community. That's what I decided. I just want rid of it. I want it all gone. A few people from roller derby did privately message me saying that was awful what happened to you and it's diabolical, and some of those people I know, and I can't believe they made those comments. And some people told me why they'd left derby, and that one of the girls, turns out that I used to play with is a lawyer, and I didn't know she was a lawyer, but she gave me a bit of advice, and she said that obviously she can't be seen to be helping me because she still plays roller derby, and she knows from this what they'll do to her if they ever find out. And she's not strong and opinionated, even though she's a lawyer. She's not. She's quite mild and meek, and I think that's why she turned to roller derby, to bring something out of her. But she said, I can't have anybody know that I support you because I think they'll go after me. That's what we have there. So in the whole tweet that went, the whole thread that went on, I only made 2 comments. One just to defend myself from a girl that I knew quite well who had said some horrible things. She made the worst comments. She was the one who said twice that my views cause people to kill themselves and that I'm promoting murder. She said that, and I had to defend myself once. And then after that, I said, I'm going to leave now because this is toxic on one side and I can't win. And obviously, even that bolstered them even more. So that's where I am there. Anyway, so with my letter, I would like to hold Sun State Roller Derby to account to the bullying that went on publicly on their official page, that they were either not monitoring, so they weren't getting constant notifications of new posts on this thread. Yes, they were. Of course they were. Or they knew that, or they were getting them and they chose to ignore them, and they let it get way out of control and they let it go on and on. 9,000 people reading it. So if I broke their code of conduct around discrimination towards transgender people, they certainly broke their code of conduct towards bullying, as in they openly allowed it to go on and go on and go on, to the point where I was totally in tears, shaking, I was in bits. So and with that, I lodged a grievance to Sun State Roller Derby as to the events that unfolded on their page, and asked that they hold themselves responsible for what happened. Sun State Roller Derby didn't get back to me. They didn't acknowledge they'd received my grievance email. They've never got back to me since. They won't address the grievance of what went on their page. Nothing. So this is where I am now. I have this new purpose and cause, and first of all, it's to hold Sun State accountable for what happened to me on their public Facebook page, but also to fight for women's voices, fight for women's rights, which is ridiculous. In 2021, we're fighting for women's rights again. Somebody did that for us a long time ago. They fought tooth and nail to get us out of the kitchen, to get us educated, to get us a career, to get us competing in professional sports. And now they would all turn in their graves as to what's happening now. Absolutely they would. But women can't talk about it, because if you talk about how unfair it is to have trans people in sports, or trans people using your private bathrooms that are just for women, you are shut down and you are called transphobic, you are called all sorts of names because you won't go along with this. And I think the problem is so many people out there don't agree with this, but they're either silent or they go along with it because they just want a quiet life. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not into a quiet life. I'm not now. I didn't even know that this needed to be done. I did not know this needed to be a cause, and I did not know I had to be a part of it. I didn't know it was going on. But I have a 13-year-old daughter growing up in 2021, and God knows what she's going to have to navigate. Luckily, I've talked to her about it and she seems pretty unscathed by it. She's not massively aware of any transgender people, and she certainly doesn't know of any in school, which is another thing, the whole transgender children thing, letting children choose a different sex when they're still young, still even teenagers. I mean, I've got 2 kids and I know that they change their mind all the time. They forget things, they fantasize things. I was a child and I did exactly the same thing. So it's just gross that parents are allowing and pushing their kids into these transitions. I think it's not on. I mean, these children should be allowed to have a childhood, and then when they get to 18 they can make any decisions they want. But I think a lot of these parents are winning points by transitioning their kids. It's getting them interviews on TV. It's making them famous. They're getting Netflix shows made about them. And then you've got this massive movement of people detransitioning. And it shouldn't be. If transitioning was the fix, why is there detransitioning? It's bonkers, if you ask me. It's all bonkers. And then they talk about the suicide rates in transgender people. They haven't changed. 5 years ago, when hardly anybody was going through the surgery, the suicide rates are the same. They haven't changed. They haven't gone up, down. They're about the same. And when you talk to transitional people who have gone through it and maybe have regretted it and gone back, they'll tell you the facts and figures. They'll tell you the statistics that they don't feel any different after transitioning. So it's not just about me getting kicked out of my sport for saying men shouldn't play in women's sports. It's massive. It's a bigger thing. And I'm not against trans people. I've never been against trans people. I have known one in the past. And I've always thought, you do what you want. If it makes you happy, wear a dress, get the surgery, do what you want. Do what you want, as long as it doesn't affect me. And it does affect me if you say I've got to call you she and I've got to call you a woman. So I think I've bleated on long enough now about me and my woes and everything that's gone on with me. But I really would like to hear everybody's comments. Comment on here or email me please, or message me on Facebook. Your support would be great in what I'm going through and where my fight's leading me. But also just education. Send me to places. Give me some literature to read. Help me in this knowledge that I'm trying to seek. And obviously I will part it all onto my 13-year-old, because, you know, as the years go on, she's going to have to pick up this mantle. She's not particularly sporty, thank goodness, not like me, but I'm sure this is going to encroach on other parts of her life. So I really, I'm asking for help. I'm one of those appeal lines. Please, I'm appealing for your help. But yeah, thank you. And I'll make some more videos based on what people have said and what I found out. And hopefully, cliche, educate some of you lot as well. All right, well, thank you very much. Cheers.